women sleep with who they want, men sleep with who they can. I don't know if you've heard of this analogy. A lock, have you heard this one? A lock that opens too many keys is a shitty lock. A key that opens many locks is a master key. So it ultimately just comes down to, it's very easy for women to sleep with men. You just have to show up. So it's not impressive if you can sleep with a lot of men. But for a guy to be able to sleep with a lot of women, there's something about him.
I think that there's like certain men, like let's say here it's like athletes, kind of like
Sure.
They can get whoever they want, so why should they be praised for that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like maybe the average man, yes, I understand what you're saying, but there are like men that are praised for like getting as many girls as possible when they're like the top, like what, 10% or something, but they're still praised. But like women, like there are some women that can't get sex as easily as other women, so why are they still called a slut, basically? Because maybe they worked for it too. So it's like, I get that it's easier for women. I do agree with you, and I understand where you're coming from, but there are women that can't, and they still fall under the category of a slut because they're a woman.
Wait, so you're saying there's women that can't get laid?
As easy as other women, or like there are men that can get laid easier than certain women, but women are called sluts because, you know what I'm saying? Does anyone know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like it's harder for some women to get laid, and then when they do get laid, they're a slut.
Yes.
You take a super hot guy and he has the same body count as an average girl, the super hot guy is automatically like, he's a player, he's on some king shit, whatever. But the girl she's passed around, she belongs to the streets.
Yeah.
Even if it is like generally easier for girls, like if you have an average girl, for her to be sleeping with a lot of guys, people will still be like, ew, how could she do that? Or like, how did she pull like that? And it's like, why? You know, how is that?
Yeah.
But like, if an average guy had the same body count as well, he's still getting praised for it.
Yeah.
He's bringing something to the table. He's got game, or he's got status, or he's got wealth. So he's bringing something to the table. Women don't need status. They don't need wealth to get laid.
Not all women.
That is
That's
not
what we're
true.
saying is there's like maybe, I don't want to say a category of women, but for lack of better word, I'm going to say that. But like there are like women that can't get laid as easy as like the really attractive men that don't have to work as hard as like maybe the average man does. On average, I get what you're saying. Yes, women like probably can get laid easier than men, but like these women are still labeled as sluts even though they're not.
And that's where it's like the double-edged sword, I feel like,
Yeah.
because like I don't know, like if I had a higher body count, a guy's gonna look at me and be like, I don't want that. But why am I not allowed to do the same for a guy?
You are allowed to.
I am, but society like kind of puts a pressure to kind of let that kind of thing go, like, oh well, he's a guy, so it's fine, it's normal, it's okay if he got with a lot of girls.
So I mean, I think women, generally speaking, care less about their partner's body count than do men care about their partner's body count. But I think, I mean, my take on this is that women can have any preference or standard or boundary they want. If a woman doesn't want to date a guy that's a player, that's you know, has a high body count himself, that's totally fine. And she might want to do that because that guy, if he's got a high body count, and if she genuinely wants a serious relationship, she might be like super like relationship type chick. She only wants to have sex within the confines of a monogamous relationship. I think that's a perfectly reasonable standard for any woman to have, that, hey, I don't want to date a player. And there's definitely women like that.
Yeah.
I actually think there's not really much shaming women in terms of, I don't really hear that so much, like women being shamed for not wanting to date a guy with a high body count. I don't really hear that so much. I think women care less, but what I do hear a lot is men being shamed for not wanting to date a woman with a high body count. Because it becomes this slut shaming.
Yeah. I want.
Whereas fuckboy shaming is
it just that
acceptable.
like men want women to be more of their own, or they want them to be like more innocent, or to be have less experience, or like why is it that men look at women this way?
Like, why do men want a woman with a lower body count?
Yeah.
So it's a couple things. It's a few things. One, you mentioned the word innocent. Men are attracted to women who are innocent.
Yeah.
Men, whether people like to, whether they hate this, men are attracted to women, or men value sexual purity in women. And, you know, that could either manifest itself. Excuse me, there's a fly. That can either manifest itself as someone who has a very low body count or who's a virgin. Yeah. Now, the days of a woman being a virgin, having the expectation that a woman is a virgin, that's long gone. But still, we look for it in someone who has a low body count. And there's a couple reasons. So there's an evolutionary reason. Sorry, there's a fly that's harassing me, guys. There's an evolutionary reason for it. With body count, if a woman has a high body count, if she sleeps with a lot of men, if she's promiscuous, if she has a child, you cannot guarantee who the father is of that child.
Without a DNA test, right?
Right. But in the past, throughout all human history, DNA test, that's from the 1980s.
Yeah, recently.
When we sequenced, whatever. So that's very new. So that doesn't change our men's evolutionary and biological hardwiring for preferring a partner who has a low body count.
Yeah.
So it comes down to one, the paternity thing, because one of the biggest fears a guy has is that kid not being yours. That's pretty much the biggest L a guy can take. If you think the kid is yours and it's not yours, that's a huge L for guys. So men have a vested interest in ensuring that the child is theirs, but there's no way to know. Whereas for women, if you get pregnant, you know the kid is yours. But for men, they don't know.
Do men care about if they want to like go around and get and lay all these girls and stuff? Do they care about having multiple children with random women then?
No.
They don't? They could just have their offspring
but it's
anywhere?
It's still like an evolutionary hardwiring that's ingrained in them. So a guy could be in his, 19, 20, 21. He has no intention of having children anytime soon, but that's not going to change that there's this evolutionary psychology thing that's ingrained in men to find promiscuity unappealing and unattractive and frankly disgusting.